this over. So on the right, we started with a 100-degree shoulder turn, and you're using the language in my attempt to go back further. I'm changing the word go back to get the hands more round, or get better hand depth, okay? So you got the butt of the club right here, but you started doing that with a swaying of your hips of 1.6 inches away. Now on the left, one might make the assumption that you are turning your shoulders more, but you don't. You turn them 6 degrees less. And it is interesting to note, despite you turning your shoulders 6 degrees less, we got the butt of the club more around. Now, what do you think your hip turn is on the right? You're at core average at 40 degrees closed. But if we exaggerate the components of changing flex in your knees, which affects your pelvis, which affects your hip turn, right? So now on the left, what do you think your hip turn is now? Boom. You are at 46 degrees on the left, still within torque range. But here's the missing link between these two, and that is your hip sway. So now when we put these two things together, we start flexing the left knee out, allowing the right leg to extend. Understanding that allows the pelvis to turn on a tilted plane while staying centered or moving slightly forward versus moving 1.6 inches away. Not only does this help us control your low point better, but I also got a better hand depth out of you, or got you to swing the hands more around, not via increasing the shoulder turn, but increasing the hip turn. The hip turn was increased by what we did with your leg work. And we reduced the hip sway. Actually, we didn't reduce it. We got it to go slightly forward. Torque average is 0.4 inches towards, so this makes it easier for us to hit ball first, hit more crispy, solid shots. This is the other camera view, just kind of looking at the difference. We can look at the difference 3-dimensionally and 2-dimensionally. I kind of gave the analogy of cranking the lawnmower, and hopefully you kind of see it on the right-hand side of the screen. So here's where you started, 1.6 inch away with a 40-degree closed hip turn to the target. Not bad. I can tolerate some away, but that's a little bit too much. That can take you down a path where we start really suffering with poor contact. On the right, now we see a completely different action. The hips actually start going slightly forward. And if we were to go back, and if we were just to kind of put a circle around the left knee region, that's kind of where we might start seeing some of these changes. So 4 and 4. So there, the left knee actually went towards the target. So I kind of mentioned the pattern. If the left knee does go towards, we might see that hip sway go too far forward. Okay. Now, not that 1.3 inches towards is too much. That's usually pretty acceptable. Okay. So that allows you, in this scenario, we didn't quite get the same amount of hip turn. Okay. That one swing we recorded, we really exaggerated, and you got more hip turn out of it. As we go to impact on the left, hip sway was 1.4 inches towards, with a hip turn of 15 degrees open. On the right, now we are at torque average with the hip sway. This simply makes it easier for the golfer to start hitting ball first and getting the low point more out in front of the golf ball. This gives them a fighting chance of hitting more solid and crispy shots. Not that we like crispy shots. Then at the finish, or right humerus parallel to the ground, 1.2 inches. And now we're well within torque average range, both with hip sway and hip turn. Pretty good. We noted the left knee is now more forward than where it started at dress, whereas on the left, it's kind of in the same location to where it started. Okay. Now, if I were to be picky, I would say I want the arms and the hands further away from the sternum at this point. But if we, shoulder turns are pretty good. So I can't get too, can't ask too much out of you. We'd also note here, shoulder sway ended up going 1.8 inches away because the hip sway wasn't getting forward enough. And now your shoulder sway on the right. So now we have a hip turn and sway pattern with both upper and lower centers at torr average. Whereas on the left, your sway patterns, your upper and lower centers, were just a little bit below torr average. Okay.